G'day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at how good the AGL LR Gohan does, or the AGL LR Super Saiyan Gohan does after his Extreme Z Awakening in Red Zone, and specifically we're going to be taking a look at him in the Cell Max event. Now the Cell Max event isn't maybe the hardest Red Zone, but it's pretty tough. It also starts off quite difficult, which does show the value of guard on a lot of units, which I think is very good. It's also an event that emphasizes on guard because a lot of the Cell Max changes typing, so a lot of units tend to always have a turn where they do badly, whereas Gohan should technically do well every single turn. So in general there's actually quite a lot of interesting ways to take a good look at Gohan and see just how good he is overall. So I think it's quite a good event for evaluating him and for seeing, how well he does. Now obviously, just to talk about Gohan and his EZA, in his base form a big change that occurred to him was that they improved his passive obviously quite a lot, which is very important, but they also gave him guard above 58% health. So a big mechanic for him is obviously maintaining his health so that you can get those additional stacks whilst under the effects of guard. And also he does gain quite a significant amount of attack and defense per turn. He gains 2 ki and attack and defense 20% per turn while he's out on the field. So Gohan will go from he'll every turn gain quite a sizable amount, because he's also stacking his defense by 20%. Not to mention he has a base crit when facing androids enemies. So the Red Ribbon Red Zone specifically is a very good one for Gohan, because you can easily transform him without having an android of your own on your team, which I think is great. And it's great that he's got that option to really shine in this Red Zone. Not that he wouldn't do well in the others, Gohan would do great in the other ones, but it's just that he really shines here. One thing that makes Gohan so good is his versatility. Gohan's a very strong unit in terms of his overall versatility. Gohan is on a large amount of teams. So Gohan's on Goku's family, Super Saiyan, he's on Powerful Comeback, he's on Transformation Boost, he's on Exploding Rage, he's on Youth, he's on, I think, pretty much everything under the sun. Bond of Master and Disciple, Android Cell Saga, Hybrid Saiyans, the list goes on. And Gohan is, because of that, able to have access to a ton of strong teams at every single time. In fact, I think the only strong team that he's not on is Movie Heroes, but Movie Heroes has such great crossover with Kamehameha and Goku's family and Hybrid Saiyans and all those sort of things that you could probably wangle them on there. I think the only way you wouldn't be able to use them is with a Battle of the Wits Piccolo as your lead, but if you have the physical Beast Gohan or Ultimate Gohan, you'll be able to mesh him pretty well with this Gohan overall. So Gohan's versatility speaks for itself, and it's one of the main contributing factors into why he's so good at so many Red Zones, because Gohan's able to have access or fit on pretty much every team, and he's also multifunctional. Gohan is a very strong tank, and you can use him in the first slot, but Gohan is just as good in the third slot, the second slot, or any other slot as well. So you can float him if need be, and he doesn't need a lot to work, because he gives himself quite a significant amount of ki. For example, you can use him as a floater on an Android Cell Saga team that's predominantly extreme units. I've done it for my Perfect Cell showcases. Gohan just sits in the third slot, doesn't tank as much as he would, but he tanks perfectly fine, is a great floating damage dealer, and just in general does a fantastic job. So Gohan is really great from that perspective. That ability for him to kind of really just provide multifaceted options to a large array of teams due to his versatility, which I think is really strong and a fantastic ability for him to have. It makes him so much more useful than maybe other units. So the big thing with Gohan though is his transformation, and his transformation is very strong. His transformation is a huge damage dealer, a massive force when it comes to overall damage. The big thing with the transformation is it's quite restrictive. As players will realize, it's very difficult to activate this transformation in a lot of situations because it requires you to either have an android on your team or to be facing an android, or to have an android 16 if you want like almost unrestricted access to it. The 58% health threshold is really not that big a deal, but the actual having an android is quite difficult. So in terms of red zone teams, you do have options with like Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, and you also have some options by running Gohan under an Android Cell Saga. But if you want to run Gohan optimally, like even AGL Hachan you could kind of use. It is just difficult to get Gohan to transform into his SS2 if you're running a purely optimized team. Your best bet's probably to run Kamehameha and float like an int LR Android cell, and then you'll be good to go. The big thing, like I said, is his transformation being so good. His transformation's been completely changed, or just maximized basically. It's now a double orb changer for the first 4 turns. He has the ability to fire criticals, additional super attacks, all at various degrees of health. And yeah, just in general, he's just incredibly solid as a unit. Like, just very impressive. So the thing is like, it is super difficult to kind of query Gohan's transformation because although it is quite restrictive to use, it actually is so powerful that when you do use it, it's basically like an instant win condition, which is what makes the Red Ribbon Red Zone so good for Gohan, because of the fact that he's facing like Android units the whole time, which is obviously great for him. Using an Android on his team is difficult, but again, I do think it's something that's manageable. I don't think it's impossible. I do think it can be a bit challenging, but I think at the end of the day, because of how strong the transformation is, it's not really something I'm against them having made difficult. I know that sounds weird, but I think at the end of the day, you have to respect the fact that Gohan's transformation, if it was probably any more accessible, would have been a huge change up in how they build units in the game. Because Gohan's transformation, his transform state, is almost undeniably the best unit in the game, I guess. At least for me, it's very close to being an undisputed top, almost best unit in the game, which I think is important to understand. So we are going to be taking a look at Gohan's transformation here. It is really well set up as well. We've got the 50% Goku. We got a crap ton of orbs. So yeah, we're going to be seeing just how good Gohan is. And yeah, honestly, I think Gohan is like, he's insane. He's Captain Insano. He's Insano style. He's just really good. There's no two ways about it. He's like absolutely top tier. I mean, you can see here, he's just gonna pop off. He's just gonna pop off and do insane amounts of damage. Like, he's gonna do follow-up attack after follow-up attack with huge damage, big chance to crit, huge numbers. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's actually almost insane how strong Gohan is as a character. Like, it's almost insane how like grotesquely powerful he is as a unit. And he even tanks this pretty well, considering he loses his guard, which is probably his only big kind of mechanic. Like, not big mechanic, but his big kind of change up between his first form and his second form. Once you lose that guard, it is obviously, he is much more defensively vulnerable. And yes, he can raise his defense a lot after super, even with triple supers like that. But the thing is, it's still, it's still debatable whether you want to give up the guard. I always say transform Gohan if you're in a situation where you can basically finish up the fight. I think that generally gives me a good indication of where I'm sitting, like as a Gohan user. If you can get, like, if you can finish off the enemy in 1 or 2 turns, then yeah, I think it's great to use him. But otherwise I would probably say leave it or don't bother, because like I say, it can be difficult with that loss of defense. Generally speaking, you should be fine, especially if you stack him more. Yeah, he'll be more than fine. We'll take a little bit of damage, but he won't be too bad. Not to mention, that was type disadvantage, so it was obviously substantially increased by the fact that Cell Max was tech type, which does obviously impact the kind of overall situation with Gohan. So yeah, I think he did great. Personally, I think he did a really good job, and I was really happy with his performance. I think he popped off in SS2. I think he did great defensively up till then, did great defensively after as well. So yeah, Gohan is that guy. Much like Cell, who I think is also arguably one of the top 5 units in the game, I think Gohan's instantly propelled himself to being one of the top 5 as well. And especially because of his versatility, he's actually just so incredibly useful. So yeah, if you are interested in Gohan, or you have your own Gohan, give him a try in Red Zone. He's an absolute machine, and I'm sure you'll enjoy using him, and I'm sure you have a great time. But until then, take care, stay safe, and see you guys next time. Bye.